Hello and welcome to the Superhero Show. I'm Daniel, this is Chris, and you know the drill by now. Lots of news to get through this week. A lot of X-Men Apocalypse news. So like an apocalyptic Hoover, we're going to gather all that up and then empty it. Something like that.
It's been a casting apocalypse.
Yeah.
It's been a casting apocalypse because I've also got lots of Suicide Squad news, rumours from Hollywood, and also your suggestions for who should replace Tom Hardy as Rick Flag.
Some big ones as well.
Yep. And some funny ones.
So let's crack on with the apocalypse news. Right, we're going to hit you with the biggest news of the week.
Do it.
Bryan Singer overnight has announced the 3 new young actors who are going to play Storm, Jean Grey and Cyclops.
No way.
They are, firstly, playing Aurora Munro, aka Storm, is Alexandra Shipp, who is probably the lesser known of all 3 actors. You'll know her well from Aaliyah, the Princess of R&B, and Alvin and Chipmunks, the Squeakquel. Ty Sheridan is playing Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. I've never seen True Life. He's in that Terrence Malick film, and he's also in Mud, which I'm a huge fan of.
He's someone I know because he's in Mud and he's in Joe, I believe. Okay. Playing quite similar characters in both those films, and he's really good in both of them. He's a very kind of serious, though, forlorn kind of presence in both movies.
There's a little picture of him on this news story. He looks a troubled young man.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting if they tease that side of Cyclops out, because when we come to know Cyclops, he's very serious in a different way, and also a bit boring in those original Singer movies. I think Cyclops is one of the characters that get short shrift in those.
But he's really good.
Films.
I mean, in Mud, he goes toe to toe with Matthew McConaughey, and in the other one I said, Joe, it's Nicolas Cage, and he comes out of both of them really strongly. So
it's a good young actor. He's 18, and another 18-year-old's been cast. Probably the most famous of all 3 actors being cast in Apocalypse in these roles is Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones. Now, this has been rumoured for a while. In fact, all 3 actors have been rumoured, but they've been confirmed. And she will be playing Jean Grey.
Awesome. She's good? You a fan of hers?
Yeah, she's good. I think she's really grown into a role in Sansa Stark. I think that's always the way when you cast kids. You know, she's been in Game of Thrones a long time. I think she's really grown, and the show has given her more and more to do, particularly the last season. You know, a lot of spotlight was on her. And, she's really proved herself, I think, in the last season as... having the capabilities of doing more. 'Cause early on, she's just this quiet kid who gets pulled around.
Yeah.
Whereas in the last series, she starts doing some of the pushing.
Yeah.
So really interesting. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Young set of actors.
Some new faces, yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with those choices.
Good stuff.
Okay, next bit.
What you got for me?
So Oscar Isaac has been talking to someone who used to work here. About Apocalypse and the role of Apocalypse and how they're going to bring this like huge supervillain to life in the new movie. And it's kind of what you would expect, but he says a little bit of info. It'll be a mix of practical and digital effects.
Yep.
I haven't had the script, so I haven't had a chance to look through the script, obviously, and see the exact requirements. But I think it'll be a mixture of physical aided with some robotic technology.
Interesting.
So it's a little bit unsure what he means by robotic technology, whether he means CGI or whether he means kind of prosthetics.
Yeah. Interestingly, he's in a film that's come out this week in the UK, Ex Machina, where it's kind of human mixed with robotics that looks pretty amazing in that film.
Yeah, it's almost primed him for it. Be interesting because obviously Apocalypse, very impressive figure in the comics. Yeah. There's a variety of ways you could realise it. In Days of Future Past, the Sentinels obviously brought to life with CGI, but they used a lot of physical models there as well to sell it in some ways. Yeah,
and I think we're going to see something similar this summer with Ultron as well.
Yeah,
so.
I think that's always my favourite approach, ever since Jurassic Park. I think blending, the physical in certain scenes where you can sell the illusion, and it makes you buy the bigger kind of a little bit more fake CGI moments because you've had that more tangible interaction.
Yeah.
And then the final bit of news is Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen aren't going to be in X-Men Apocalypse. Patrick Stewart was speaking on American TV. He was talking on Larry King now, and he said he's not going to be in it, and neither is Sir Ian McKellen.
I guess that's not a huge surprise.
It's not a huge surprise, no.
It just makes me sad that we didn't see more interaction between the 4 actors playing the 2 roles in Days of Future Past, because that was kind of the hook for me. Yeah. And there just wasn't a huge amount of it.
They were all big. Those are all 4 big actors of this generation and their generation. Also, Ian McKellen, if you look back at Days of Future Past, almost has nothing to do in that movie. But Stewart has a lot more. Although it does, when I was thinking about this, it does create a minor loophole that you might just have to suspend disbelief, because I think in the beginning of The Last Stand, McKellen and Stewart go and meet Jean Grey for the first time, and they use CGI to make them look younger.
Yeah.
but it's still very much, they're older than I think what McAvoy and Fassbender will be. But I think that's one of those things where you just have to go with it, because obviously it wasn't planned.
That was one of many in Days of Future Past where don't think about it for too long.
But also with The Last Stand, maybe just forget some bits.
Didn't happen.
Let's move on.
But this is all very exciting though for Apocalypse.
Yeah, it's kind of really stepping up again. Even though it's coming out in 2016, they're filming in Montreal this April. They're really getting on with it.
Yeah.
And I think capitalising on the success of Days of Future Past. Because I think there's a danger with, popularised, like, I think this happened with Abrams' Star Trek. You can wait just that little bit too long and the excitement dips off. And I think people are really eager for more X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Hence, all the other ones have been greenlit, like Deadpool. But this is the one that I'm really looking forward to.
I think it's the superhero film I'm most looking forward to, potentially.
And also, I've never really thought about it. It's an obvious thing to say, but, these films were prequels. When they first did First Class, I almost thought of it like a standalone.
Yeah.
And then Singer came back, they did Days of Future Past, and more they're working back to the original trilogy and casting those three characters. This is the moment they're going to, finish it, and then after this, going to have to do something new.
Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting.
And it'd be good to see him have a big bad villain.
Yeah.
Because I think they need that. I think the series needs one of them.
A really good actor they've cast in that role as well.
Awesome, very exciting.
Oh yeah, so excited.
Speaking of casting, Suicide Squad. Every day something's dropping on this film.
Yeah.
Some of it good, some of it I'm making us scratch
our
our heads a little
all
bit.
Over the place, yeah.
So there's talk that Batman might be in it.
Yep.
A couple of different things. Latina reviews saying it will contain a few recordings of Batman, video recordings, and the Caped Crusader will only be mentioned and shown on camera footage. And then Forbes have said a similar thing, saying he could play a larger role in the film, but supposedly in an in-story scene, likely at the end of the film, and focused on certain circumstances involving the Joker that might give us hints about a future solo Batman.
Oh, that's made it all really clear.
Yeah. So they muddied the water there a little bit. So there's a chance,
but
there's a chance that Batman might appear in the film. Casting wise, so the rumours that have come out of Hollywood for Rick Flag, we now know this week that Jake Gyllenhaal has said no to it. They're saying that Tom Hardy said no because he didn't really like the script or the direction the script had gone in with.
Initially it was like, he can't make the filming date because of the Mad Max.
It was scheduling with it was The Revenant, the film that he's shooting right now.
Yeah. And I also did read about him doing promotional tours from Mad Max, but it seems like that was a bit of smoke and mirrors.
I mean, there's word that they might have downgraded his character a bit now that the Joker's going to play more of a prominent role in it.
Okay.
But to play Rick Flag, they're talking about John Bertel from The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
big fans of his.
Good tough man.
Yep. Wolf of Wall Street as well.
Yeah.
And also Joel Edgerton.
See that. I know what they've been watching.
They've been watching the superhero show. Now that was one of your suggestions.
Yeah, and also means that go check out last week's show where we come up with 6 suggestions.
Yeah.
And because Jake Gyllenhaal hasn't taken the role, still relevant.
Yeah.
At least for the next hour or so.
Yeah. But we could finally be right about one of these things.
Come on.
They're saying that Deathstroke will be in it potentially, and Joe Manganiello playing the character. Big, tough
He's a big
guy.
dude, isn't he?
Yeah.
Also, you know what I didn't realise until very recently about that dude? He played Flash Thompson in Sam Raimi's original Spider-Man movie. He's like Flash Thompson, completely unrecognisable because he's, he wasn't static then. And you have the beard and it's way before obviously True Blood or anything like that. But yeah, he's Flash Thompson.
Good callback. Yeah. I would not have known that. And they're saying that General Wade Elling might be in the film, who's a Justice League villain who takes the super soldier serum and becomes big, muscle-bound figure. Gary Sinise, they're saying, might play him. And Clancy Brown's played him on telly in The Flash recently, that same character. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
And he could be an overarching villain that pops up in a few of the films.
More and more I hear about the Suicide Squad. I feel like it's a movie that has a lot in it, but it's almost like a quick way of launching a lot of the DC universe. Suddenly just go with it and we're just going to drop all this stuff, all this machinery, all these characters, and not going to do origins for any of them.
Yeah.
It's just all there and just go with it.
But that's kind of what we thought was going to be happening in Batman v Superman a little bit as well, seeding a lot of these characters.
Wonder Woman. Yeah, so I think
interesting to see who pops up where.
It's like rapid world building.
But also I feel like, do they know what they're doing at the
moment? It's losing focus. I don't, because I've also read rumours in the last week that the Joker's going to be hardly in it, or it was in the original treatment. He's almost like a Hannibal Lecter character.
Right.
So he's tied up, and Harley Quinn is more his kind of proxy.
Right.
Because they kind of want to keep the Joker back a little bit, and he's just going to be in scenes here and there. But obviously just rumour for now.
We're confused, Hollywood. But we had your casting suggestions as well. We suggested 6 people last week for the role. That was Damian Lewis, Bobby Cannavale, Ryan Gosling, Charlie Hunnam, Jason Statham, and Joel Edgerton.
Yep.
First ones, couple that we actually talked about, but we didn't end up using.
Yeah.
I think we were worried that they were a little bit old or maybe wouldn't be interested. But yeah, first one is Tom Peel suggests Christian Bale. Yeah. He says he's my choice to replace Tom Hardy as he is someone who has that acting ability and gravitas that would stand him in good stead for the role.
Yeah,
we talked about him.
We did mention him, and it's something obviously interesting to talk about because Tom Hardy already had a DC role.
Yeah,
be interesting. Someone else with a DC role. Marvel have done it really well with Chris Evans recasting him again.
Great actor, but
he's a great actor.
I just can't see him doing more superhero stuff.
I think he's had, and also because he's had such success.
Yeah,
with Chris Evans, Fantastic Four was okay.
Yeah,
but there was this opportunity to do something really special.
Yeah,
hard to get him back after he's done the 3 best Batman films ever. Yeah, arguably.
Agreed. Tyler Sweeney suggests Mark Wahlberg. He says pretty safe pick. I think even after Transformers, his stock is still up there with the rest of the cast.
Yeah, he's a good action man.
Yeah, and actually, Transformers actually, in Hollywood terms, has done him a good deed because it made a huge amount of money. Yeah. It just proves that he's as bankable as they were hoping he'd be. He also suggests Matt Damon.
Yeah, I think we even mentioned that because we talked about... We were trying to think a bit like for like. We were trying to think, obviously, with Rick Flag, we were thinking of military roles. Yeah. So you obviously think like Joel Edgerton, we thought of him because he had a military role in 0 Dark 30. Is it 0 Dark 30? Yeah. And then Green Zone from Matt Damon. And, he's a smart guy. He's a cunning guy. He's got personality, charisma.
Yeah. We like him.
Yeah.
Another one that we talked about but we didn't actually mention on the show, Chaz Tav suggests Nic Cage. He says, this may seem like an absurd choice given that he has become known for being a terrible overactor and all-round joke lately, and the fact that he's already played a Marvel character on screen. However, in my defence, Nic Cage has got the requirements for the role. He has some serious acting chops and at one point won Best Actor Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas. And if you cast your minds back, he's been in a fair few action films over the years like Con Air, The Rock, the National Treasure franchise, and the Ghost Rider franchise, but we won't talk about that. And he says it's about time that he got to play a DC character because obviously he was due to play Superman.
Huge DC fan, a huge comic book fan in general. Like his son's called Kal-El, I believe, and he has a huge comic collection.
He'd be fun. I mean, he'd be fun in the role, wouldn't he?
Joker.
He would, yeah. I could see him doing that. That's a good suggestion. Tim Newton-Howes has a couple of outside the box suggestions. One is Tom Jane, who played the Punisher, obviously. Yeah, really good actor. Commands the screen.
In The Mist as well.
Yeah. That dude. Yeah. Also, Rory McCann.
Who's Rory McCann?
Do you know who Rory McCann is?
I think so.
He's the Hound in Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah.
Big man.
Also in Hot Fuzz.
Yep, 6'6", Scottish actor. You wouldn't mess with him.
He's a tough man.
Yeah.
He's almost like a Statham.
You'd follow him into battle, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely.
You'd follow him over the top. Who have we got here? Kirk Ames suggests Liam Hemsworth. He says it would be kind of interesting to see him in a bigger action role in a superhero movie. It could also make for interesting conversation around the dinner table on Thanksgiving. He and Chris could have a Marvel and DC debate.
Face off.
Liam Hemsworth?
Yeah, well, he's kind of cutting out a career like in the Expendables movies. Yeah, he's all right. I don't really remember him. I've seen him in quite a few things, and he doesn't really stay with me as standout kind of actor.
Sorry, Kirk, that's a no from Daniel Krupa. I agree with
feel bad.
Tim Dunn sent us a very brief email. He simply said, Clive Owen, acting chops and moral ambiguity.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
I've never been a Clive Owen fan, so but I know a lot of people like him. A lot of people want him for Bond.
Also in the ascendancy after the Nick, he's had one of those careers that's kind of tapered off in recent years, but it feels like getting people back on sign after that.
Yeah. And finally, Nick Moss has 2 suggestions. The first one is Jason Isaacs, who was in Black Hawk Down and Green Zone. He's a really good actor, another Brit. Or even better, Rich, can you put a picture up behind me?
This is a special one there.
That man, Ross Kemp. Yeah. Who can forget his role as SAS Sergeant Garvey in Ultimate Force? Now, for our American friends, Ross Kemp, well, he's the man, the myth, the legend.
He's an enigma. This is him on daytime TV. Probably one of Britain's greatest actors and most seminal documentary makers.
One of our best-known actors, Grant Mitchell in EastEnders. A tough nut.
Nation's sweetheart, also a nation's hard man.
Yeah. Looks a bit like a thumb. He's basically a walking, talking muscle. Look at that.
You can tell a lot about the kind of what he brings to a role in this kind of picture. That's actually his headshot he sends out from his agent.
I'm actually amazed that we didn't think to include him. What's going on there? Oh dear. Yeah, why didn't we include him last week? Ross Kemp's a really good idea.
It's obvious now.
Yep. And wasn't he in Extras? Maybe American Brothers would have seen him in an episode of Extras.
But you need to check out all his... basically, he goes around to jungles and takes on guerrilla fighters without even a gun. He just takes the gun off them.
I think he is genuinely tough.
I think he's
quite a good actor. So
there are actually scenes where he's in the jungles and people are holding rifles at him, and he just goes over to them and goes, "No."
Are you going to kill me? Sorry. You're going to kill me?
Sit down.
No? You're going to kill me?
Sorry.
You're going to kill me? No one's going to kill me. All right?
So there we go. We've done it. We've cracked the code.
Yeah, so we should say you can email us anytime with any casting suggestions or anything at all at superhero@ign.com.
Although that said, we probably shouldn't dedicate another show to casting Rick Flag.
Yeah, probably not that, but just in more general stuff.
Yeah.
Or just Ross Kemp stuff.
Yeah, any Ross Kemp stuff.
If you want a Ross Kemp special, we can do that.
Yeah, the email address is superhero@ign.com.
Yeah, so until next week, for everything on superheroes, Marvel, DC, and all the rest, stay right here on IGN.